Andersen.
Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to channel Andersen. So I've actually been up to a ton of stuff. We got the valve covers painted, dropped off the surge tanks for powder coating, and I have a few things I want to update you guys with on the CLK in the trunk area as well as in engine bay. So let's go ahead and get into that, and then we'll jump back in time a bit to some iPhone clips of me working on the valve covers and surge tanks, etc. Alright, by the way, D-Day on this car. I am trying to get this done within like a week and a half. It's basically up to when the surge tanks are done with powder coating. Should be between 7 to 10 days, they said. So by then I would like to have everything I need to do knocked out on this thing. It is a long list, but I think we can get it done. Just got to be patient. Alright, so first thing I want to update you guys with is what I came up with for the battery situation. Kind of looked out, to be honest, so yeah, I'm glad, because it would have taken a lot more time than it is going to now. So number one, I was able to reuse the factory negative ground. It used to be on this bolt location over here, but I just took a page out of the C55's book and we mounted it, or I mounted it on the bumper bracket bolt right there, on the bumper nut right there. So that is nice and ground, and it reaches no problem obviously here. Oh, I didn't know we were hooked up. Sorry. And then our other cable is coming right here, and we have a breaker back there that I'm going to use. So I got plenty of wire. I'm going to snake that down. I'll probably use some the rubber hold down clamps to kind of keep it flush against that. Hook on our 3/8 terminals for one side of the breaker, and then 3/8 terminal on the other part that I cut off of the line, and we'll get it there. I actually have a red piece of 0 gauge from when we did the C55 that I want to use. I just need to find, I bought a set of terminals not long ago, like the screw down terminals. So if I could do that, then that way I know I have a red cable and a black cable. So I would like to, and just because I think this would lay a little more flush in there versus the shorter piece that we have right now. So I just got to find where the heck I put those terminals. That is one of the problems of moving, guys. When I moved, some of the stuff I know exactly where it is, some of it I have no idea. So I got to search around all of the parts in the garage and see if I can find those things. I'm trying to think where the heck I would have put them, but hopefully I can find them. Alright guys, a bit of searching around and items ended up turning up. So we have the red cable. I did find a piece of black cable that is literally the perfect size left over from the C55 project. And then we have 2 terminals. These are the bolt-on, like I said. So not the greatest style, but they work. They're totally fine. So those will work. So I can at very least do this one if I want to. I could run it as is right now. I don't know. It might be fine just the way it is. So depends on if I want to add more work for myself or not. So it's either trim that line, run it from the breaker right to here, and leave this as is, or use those other pieces of line. But anyways, that is pretty much how I'll set it up. And the last thing is, I was gonna have to build an aluminum tray to riv nut in here, but ended up finding that I still had the C55 battery tray. So guys, the lesson is, don't throw away the things that you take off of project cars if you have other project cars, because it always seems to come back and come in handy somehow. And I did learn a cool thing too. I don't know if it'll work for this tray, but Buddy on Instagram, oh, it does work. Buddy on Instagram was saying if you flip the dog bone like that, you can actually run an H7 battery, which is a little bit smaller size, so save a little bit of weight, etc. In this case, I'm just going to run the Group 49 because I already have it. It's relatively new, and it's a Costco battery, so if something ever happens, I can always bring it back. But yeah, that'll be the plan. Alright guys, so this is on hold a bit because I need to go to the hardware store and grab some bolts that fit the Strudsert little riv nut thing. So I will probably resume this later on. There's one more thing in the engine bay I want to show you guys, and then yeah, I'll just update you there. Alright guys, so in the last video, I can't remember if I showed you guys or not, I think I did. 63 Motorsports sent us over this oil pressure gauge kit, which we're going to get hooked up on the CLK55 soon, as well as the billet oil filter housing. And he originally sent these gauges to mount for an option, mounting directly on top of the filter, and sent me one for the C55 as well. But the gauge doesn't fit on top here and allow the hood to close. The filter housing looks absolutely amazing, but because of that, I was like, well, I could use these for something else, and I thought of this. This is a AN6 female to male with a 1/8 MPT adapter, or a 1/8 MPT threaded portion in the middle, which will allow us to run a fuel pressure gauge right at the rail. So I'll show you guys where this can go. It is basically right over here. I can run it at the connection. I also thought it would be possible to run it over here, so either one, it would kind of work. I'll have to test out where I want to exactly, but I thought that was something cool to update you guys with, and super simple little project. This piece was from Evil Energy on Amazon. It was like 10 bucks, 11 bucks I think, this little adapter piece, and I already had the gauges, so thought I would make use of them if they didn't fit on the C55, and I don't think they'll fit either when I allow the hood to close. So I will probably game plan this a bit, and then obviously I'll show you guys whatever I come up with, whether it's there or in the front here, and yeah, get this thing mounted up. That way we can check fuel pressure right at the rail. And speaking of fuel, with all the things that we're gonna do, you know, I would like to have an eye on fuel pressure because it'll just be that much easier to diagnose, due to the fact that we're gonna switch up basically the whole fuel system. Shout out to JT again. I believe I put this in the last video. I did. I know that now I'm remembering, so I did tell you guys about the 63 Motorsport gauges. But he sent over the fuel sending units and the fuel pumps out of E55's. This is the older style. I figured out that now, and this is the newer style with the push locks on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to reuse these systems. These ones look like they're in pretty good shape, to be honest. I don't know how old the fuel pumps are, and the fuel filters themselves do look a bit dirty, but in order to change the pumps, you kind of have to like break this bracketry out of here, so I might have to figure something out. But first things first, I'll need to get what's currently in there out so I can see exactly what the setup is, and then see what I need to adjust. But yeah, we have a pretty good option right here of things to run. And there's our junkyard badges that we got, so we can put them on the trunk, at least represent the AMG for now, and eventually I'll try to grab the CLK55 badges. Alright guys, making steady but slow progress. It's a lot of just nitpicky things, to be honest. I mean, I didn't like how the wiring was ran behind this, so started looking at, you know, where I want to route that. I'm gonna send that line most likely behind the cowl over here, or at very least put some nylon braided wrap on it. And then right now what I was doing is all of this before basically was just exposed sharp metal. There's supposed to be a little plastic fitting here that holds the wiring harness in place that I actually meant to get when I was going to scavenge from the C32, but it crossed my mind, or didn't cross my mind when I was there. So this little plug down here at the bottom, which holds the brake booster, wasn't in place, so that's like half of that exposed metal taken up now, is now protected by the rubber grommet. And then I used this like gator grip stuff, edge trim, and just covered up the remaining spots. So now it's a nice tight fit on there, and the wires have nothing dangerous to rub on anymore. So that solves that. Step two of this whole equation is I pulled out the actual wiring harness because we still have a lot of wiring to sort through. Just cleaning it up. Everything is connected, but we need to clean things up further. So I really wanted to take a look at what was in here. I don't like the fact that it was all taped up. I have braided sheathing, so I'm going to be replacing that. And and at least, you know, covering this section and then covering over here with one piece. But all the wiring here looks fine, and I'll be able to shorten things up where I need to, figure out what's going where, etc. Just, it's all kind of a peace of mind game where I can shorten things up as well. Like this is super looped. I don't know where these are running to be honest, so I will have to find that out when I go below the car, most likely. That looks like oxygen sensor, to be honest. Let me see real quick. Alright, I really don't know what those are, to be honest. You guys aren't gonna be able to see it, but wiring is like blue braided wiring. I don't know what those are. There's a lot to be discovered from once I get a chance to get under the car that I just don't really know for now. So some of this I'll have to just do my best with what I do know and kind of recuperate later. That wiring is literally sitting like on the headers, so that definitely is not gonna fly. But yeah, so lots of wiring to do. Next thing, I did get the fuel pressure gauge mounted. This is just mock mounted right now. I got to take it off and put some sealant on it, but works out pretty good. I tucked the line behind the wiring harness and in front of the drain so that it can't rub on anything, and should be good. Also, I would like to know, guys, do these things also have the plastic Y fitting for the coolant hoses that is behind the cowl? Because if so, I might as well just take off the cowl and take care of that right now, because you guys know what happened when that thing broke on the C55. Left me stranded during a pull. Well, actually, I got home, but I was out of coolant as I pulled up to the driveway. So let me know, do the W209s or C209s have that same plastic Y fitting right there for the coolant hoses? I will definitely bypass that if that is the case. Yeah, besides that, guys, it's just all the little by little game, basically. Alright guys, we got some errands to run, so I'll catch you guys in a while. Alright guys, time for the valve covers. Finally, I've been putting this off for a while, but just wiped them down with acetone. I'm going to go ahead and spray one last pass of shop air, and then we will hit it with our epoxy coating. And honestly, depending on how this looks, who knows, might just leave it in this color. Otherwise, I have the aluminum paint that I'll put on top of this. But I'm curious to see what this epoxy primer black looks like. So, all right guys, and just got this thing popped. A little red cap on the bottom. You just press into it, shake it up 2 minutes or more, and then it says the pot life for this is 4 days, which is kind of crazy. So I'll be good for today, however much I need to use. And can feels quite dense, so hopefully there's a lot in it. I'm sure I'll have enough to coat both of them at least a couple times. Got the backup can just in case. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this done. Just sprayed these off with shop air one more time. I'm going to go ahead and tape off the PCV ports and the oil fill, and then we should be good. All right guys, we're all taped up, ready to go. Did a little test spray over here. PCV port blocked off, oil port blocked off, etc. So yeah, good to go. The screws, I thought about taking them out, but I don't want anything to get down in there, so I will just replace the screws after if I want to. Otherwise, just paint over them. All right, well, nothing left to do now. Oh, forgot one port. Okay, now we're ready. Just going for minimal coverage. All right, well, check back with you guys in a bit. All right, guys, well, there they are after the first coat. Try not to go too crazy. A little bit heavier than just a light spray, but should be fine. Honestly, I like the look of this. So I'll see how it looks after a couple coats, and then we'll make our call if we're gonna go for the aluminum spray or not. Otherwise, I could just spray the matte clear over this and we'd be good. So we'll see. All right, guys, I just finished up putting the second coat on. Unfortunately, got a few runs. This stuff is kind of hard to see when it was coming out, or like how it's layering on with the contrasting, you know, like dried black color versus fresh. Anyways, I was just going too fast. It's got a few runs over here and one big one right there. So I'm gonna have to wait till those dry off all the way, then I can sand them down and finish up on top of them. But I think, guys, depending on how this dries right now, I'm pretty happy with this. So I'll probably let it dry, see how it sets, and then obviously fix those little drips, and then we will satin clear coat it. I think it'll make it a lot easier too, because you know, one less step in the whole process. So I don't typically want black valve covers on stuff because it makes it kind of hard to see leaks, which I guess could be a good or bad thing depending on how you are, but I kind of like a lighter color just to see. But I think in this case, with the kind of matte black and the satin clear on it, it'll still be relatively easy to keep an eye on things, and will look cleaner overall. So I think we're gonna run with this. All right, guys, well, last update before I head out. This one dried up. The drips actually blended in pretty close, but I'll still have to sand them down a little bit. This side for sure, have to sand it down. And also noticed a couple spots where the kind of magnesium had corroded up. So since I'm sanding down the other one, I'm gonna go ahead and sand down those spots too. Try to blend them in a little bit. But overall, I'm really happy with this color. Actually, it looks really good with a couple coats on it. It looks nice and smooth and consistent. And just a nice little touch for the engine bay. So we'll leave it there. I have to go drop the surge tanks off at a powder coating shop because I am tired of trying to strip them myself. Where's the other one? Oh, it's over here. One of them got pretty much done, but not all the way. So I will let them handle that. So see you guys over there. All right, guys, just dropped off the wheels. You guys can see that? Super good price. I'm happy with that. $150 and some tax. And gonna get our surge tanks coated. You guys will see what color soon, but big shout out to Rain City Wheel Repair and Coatings. I've hit them up so many times, like with some ideas on stuff that I wanted to get done, and for whatever reason I just always like end up coming up with some other game plan. But yeah, I love making connections with like close local businesses like this. They're busy out of the yin yang all the time, which I mean, that usually speaks to their work quality. And Chris and Shane, who I talked to, super nice guys. So I'm excited. It is fully worth it to pay that. I feel like that's very reasonable for the amount of scrubbing and effort I was putting in to try to get these things to anything good. And it's gonna look 1,000 times better than what I would have got it to. So yeah, shout out to Rain City Wheels. I will catch you guys once those are done, probably in another video. But for now, we'll head back to the valve cover stuff. Yo, what's up with that though? Just saw that, had to show you guys real quick. It's like C63 wide body kit. Probably not a black series, obviously, but I don't know, possibility, could be. Anyways, we're heading out. All right, guys, next morning, still working on the valve covers. I sanded down this spot and this spot, got them pretty good. I just recoated it again and went a little too thick right there. You can see there's kind of a little wave in this spot, but I'm hoping that'll flatten out as this dries. And then the other one looks pretty good. I'm not even going to touch this area where it dripped because it's going to be in the back anyways, and it's hardly noticeable. So looks really good, all dried up. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this one with the clear, see how it looks, and then that way I'll give time for this one to dry, and we'll hit it with the clear afterwards. Bugs me that I just did that, but yeah, it's all right. All right, guys, the valve covers are officially done. They're on the way home. Got to let them cure overnight one more time and you know, be all the way done to the touch, and we can throw them on. See you at home. All right, guys, back in the garage. I feel like I need to update you guys with a bunch of stuff, but this video's been kind of all over the place, to be honest. The last few days have just been like working on projects here and there, trying to figure stuff out. So I'm not gonna make this video super lengthy. Just want to give you guys the last few updates, and then we'll get this out so you guys can see this Saturday morning. It was supposed to be done today, actually Friday, but just didn't have time to edit. Finishing up the school year, it's been crazy. Doing the little projects at work when I have spare time, and then working on stuff at home. But anyways, first things first, simple things. The C55 trunk repair is all done finally. Looks really good, actually. There's only one spot where I don't know why, maybe the paint that I put wasn't like all the way dry or something, but when I put the clear coat, it kind of cracked a little bit here, but should be fine, and it's going to be under the seal anyways. So everything else looks really good. No more rust bubble spots. Super happy with that. Both sides. This side looks really good. Can't even tell anything was done besides these things being silver now. But yeah, if you guys know, the plastic trims go here typically. But I found that they basically just harbored a bunch of stuff underneath them and just built a lot of grime, and yeah, it wasn't good. So I ditched those a while ago, but the rust forming, I had no idea about it really until I took a close look, and I'm glad I did, because it would have sucked to have like a big rust spot happen over something like that. So when I put the seal in, before I do, I'm actually going to use the same CRC stuff that I have been, that heavy corrosion inhibitor. I'm going to spray that all along these areas, and then the seal, I'm going to put a bunch of grease inside of it, like dielectric grease, and make sure that's, you know, greased up, and then we'll put the seal back on, put all this trim stuff back on, and we'll be good to go. Moving forward, we can finally do the valve covers. I'm going to do those in the morning. I'm not going to even chance trying to, you know, handle the valve covers right now, because epoxy, 2K, matte clear, all this stuff takes typically 24 hours to fully harden. So I'm not going to mess around with it right now. I'll do that in the morning, and then you guys will see that video either Sunday or Monday of finally getting the valve covers back on the C55. One thing before I forget, since we're talking about the C55, the Nuke fuel rails. You guys know that everything fit great, but unfortunately the space didn't allow for the connectors to be plugged in onto the injectors. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, there's got to be like some type of spacer or something that you can run to let the injectors sit, you know, further than they were. And wouldn't you know it, every time you come up with a good idea, a lot of times it's already been done, it's been invented. And I was happy to find that out. Fuel injector adapters are a thing. They basically can like space out an injector. It looks like the top of injector has an O-ring, and then it has a seat for the injector to actually sit in. So literally just like a spacer for injectors. I did not know that those existed. I started randomly looking at a video. Shout out to Zero Limit, a guy that used to have an E55. I've been just looking at his videos for M113K stuff here and there, and just randomly stopped on a part where he mentioned having a fuel injector adapter, and I was like, oh, that could work. So I'm looking at that now. I just got to measure these bores and figure out the exact size that I need. But theoretically, if I get the correct adapter, we should have enough space to run these, and all I would have to do is change the bracket side, like length, to adjust for how much we go up in height. But I mean, I could make myself a little bracket like that, so I'm not even worried about that. Or I can just put a spacer underneath it and run it as is. So yeah, I'm super happy. It's like they got a chance now again. Nuke is gonna obviously do iterations that will be easy for you guys, but this will be a really good test for me to see if I can get them to work, and will be good information for Nuke, because if I give exact measurements, then they can put them into production a lot sooner than they might otherwise do so. So stay tuned for that. Stock fuel rail, yes, etc. What else we got down the line? Seatronics kit. I'm not worried about this yet, but I want to get on this as soon as I can. Real quickly, I just did a heat shielding tape on the AN line. I am going to run it under the supercharger again, I think. I just feel like it's a better fit than having it on top. And actually the SLR is something, what are the special cars that run the M113K from factory that has a looped rail from factory actually does tuck it under the supercharger anyways. So it's not terrible. I just wanted to make sure it's at least protected, and I did get a chance to, you know, inspect the line, and it still looks good. It's still flexible. It's still, you know, plenty good. The nylon braiding did get a little heat soaked, but besides that, it should be fine. So with that on there, won't worry about it. Got our gaskets. We got to wait for our surge tanks to get back. Obviously, you guys saw I dropped them off at Rain City Wheels. Big shout out to them. That was absolutely steal of a deal, in my opinion. I would have spent like $100 on chemicals regardless. I already did spend quite a bit of money on chemicals trying to strip them and didn't get hardly anywhere. So for me to pay $150 for them to strip them, powder coat them, get them all nice and good, feels like a deal to me. So last things, I do still need to find a 74 millimeter throttle body inlet, or come up with some type of adapter for this. So if you guys have one, I'm looking for basically the stock Y inlet off of an E55. So if anyone has one, let me know. I'd be happy to take it off your hands if possible. You guys have seen, I think in this video, the collection on the wall is kind of changing. Sold the airbox for the C55. The steering wheel for the W124 is likely going to be sold as well. So we'll have to throw some other stuff up here. But other things I'm working on right now, I got the battery terminals that I told you guys about. I'll be finding some proper crimp fittings because these are just too small. I was trying to expand them and make them work, but it's not worth the time. So I need to find 1/0 gauge to 3/8 terminal. Hopefully I can find them locally, otherwise I can buy a bulk pack for like 10 bucks online. You know what? You know guys, one thing that bothers me about building cars, and it's no big deal, but it's more to do with like patience and planning ahead. It bugs me when you have to buy stuff online. You can't just go pick it up in a store, because then you gotta wait a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or a week for stuff to show up, and it's just like kills the momentum. But anyways, I'm sure you guys know what I mean when you're excited about a project and then you gotta wait, order something versus like paying 3 times for it in store if you can even find it. So hopefully I can find something locally, maybe like a marine shop, or I don't know, maybe Home Depot or somebody has them in store. So we'll see. I'll do the same thing for the black cable, and then this will be connected onto the breaker. So yeah, I'm excited to get that done. It's not an incredibly I'm excited to get that done. I'll get the breaker all mounted, all set up, the battery tray all mounted and set up, and then we can just basically have this ready whenever the car is. There's so much stuff that has to happen, like the fuel pumps need to come out. I'm hoping I can get that done this weekend. The wiring for the Z-Tronics kit I'll need to get done, because I do want to have everything data logged when I first started up, and all of that taken care of. So let's see, fuel pumps, Z-Tronics kit, the battery, surge tanks will be back. Everything the engine bay for the most part is taken care of. I do want to check spark plugs. You guys tell me as well. I did a vote on this. Should I stick with the $50 eBay injectors, or should I shell out the $350 for MB, factory injectors? I'm torn, because I'm not trying to be cheap at all, but I've had probably 5 or 6 people reach out and say, hey, I've been running the eBay injectors, or like, cheap injectors that I got off of Walmart.com or whatever for like 3-4 years with no issues. Some of them like 1200cc injectors, 800cc injectors, the 550s. So I don't want to just spend the money because, but at the same time, it would be nice, I guess, to have the peace of mind that you have an OEM injector. So let me know what you guys think. Should I risk it for the biscuit, or should I just play it safe on this one? Kind of torn, but my gut is kind of saying get the factory ones, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it should be okay. So I could use you guys' help on that decision. Fuel pump setup, I am touching base with a few people asking, should I stick with the stock pumps? Should I replace these with something? Should I run the Venturi pump? Should I not? That's basically like, the Venturi is a feeder, so it basically feeds back through to these, I think. So one of these is really the one that's doing the work to send fuel to the engine. The other one is, I think, majority just like flowing back between the sender. I'm not sure, but there are some modifications where people basically eliminate the Y split or put them both to one, or I'm not sure, but I'm trying to find out information about that. If you guys know anything, let me know. At least we know we got a good sender. I can take it open to check out the filter, and you can either run an inline filter or replace that one. Creative Steel actually has a filter, so maybe I'll hit up Josh and see if we can get one of those. And then this old pump or the old setup will kind of just be there for spare parts if I need. Couplers, I did test fit. They did fit, but they are pretty tight squeeze, so we'll see if we use those or not. And hopefully in the next video, I'll be able to get the CLK up in the air a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm gonna try to jack up the rear, try to get the wheels off and take a look at if the wheels have hub-centric rings on them or not. And then I can do my motorsport hardware install kit and all that stuff too. So the list is long, guys. That's why I titled Wednesday's video So Much to Do, So Little Time. But I am trying to knock it all out. I appreciate you guys' support and encouraging me taking on these 6 cars as much as you guys do. I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve. It's hard, but only 3 more days of teaching left. So after that, I got the summer to really make headway on a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna try to take this car out for some relaxing time. Sunday, there's a car show, so I wanna take it out and just kinda get my head off of working on the cars for a little bit and just enjoy them. So I'm gonna take my son, and our cousins will be in town, so my little niece will be here. So hopefully we'll be able to take a cruise over to the car show and enjoy some downtime, family time, and enjoy the C36. So that said, I don't want to talk your guys' ear off. There's a lot going on. Hit me up with any questions you guys got or any suggestions. I'm all open ears, as you guys know, and always try to respond to you guys. So that's it. I will leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.